Y nos vamos para Centroamérica.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Central American Voices podcast. Today, we are with the Central American Voices team to not only introduce a new member of the family, but to talk about her and what we're doing. And yeah, so welcome, Liz.
Hey.
And welcome, Brenda. uh, I'm so happy for having this episode. I think it's like so cool to have it sit down and just talk about, you know, introducing Liz. And then I know a lot of people already know Brenda, but just talking about Mama.
Ay, ya se me olvidaba. Yo soy con todo eso.
That's our,
Um,
our consulting producer.
no, literally,
Yeah.
off to a great start.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Like my mom just entered the room, but yeah, she's our consulting producer, but she's not gonna be joining us. Okay, after that little interruption of my mom laundry day, yeah, welcome to the act, front of or the audio of Central American Voices. Eee.
Yay.
Well, kind of like let's just start with Liz. A lot of people don't know, but Liz is our new associate producer. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so let's get to know you, Liz. Say hi and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, hello. I am Liz Castro. I am a filmmaker based here in LA, specifically south part of LA, Cela, if you know. And I'm Salvadorian American. Both my parents are from Departamento de Morazan in El Salvador, which is like the Oriente of Honduras. And I'm just super excited to be on the team and just, get to show what Central Americans can offer to entertainment and just show off good shit, basically.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. It's like
And she is a badass AD.
that too.
And I feel like it's so cute that we all filmmakers here too.
For sure. I mean, I feel like our industry is just so tied to like showing people and like showing perspectives and showing different worlds that it's like I don't want to sound like mean, but it's not mean. What am I trying to say? I don't want to sound like too puffy or like too cocky, but it's also like this is what our jobs are, just showing stuff off, popping our things. And I feel
Hmm.
like yeah, filmmakers like who better than to like show because it's all about like prep research, maybe a little journalistic practices in some sense.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
Oh, you want me to say? I mean, they kind of already got like a little gist of who I am prior,
Hmm.
but I guess I catch them up as from that episode to this one.
Hmm.
So hi everyone, I am the producer of Central American Voices podcast, and I am also yeah, a filmmaker, jack of all trades, and all that fun stuff. So. Um, yeah, it's been a year. It's been a year with Central American Voices. I think almost a year with Central American Voices. So, it's been quite a journey, and just kind of like making things happen, and even like a very exciting episode that we're having soon is gonna be something we've been working really hard on. So yeah, it's just been great, and I'm really excited that we're expanding the team. The team's getting bigger and bigger, and just kind of shows that we are growing, and not just that, but also expanding. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yay! And I'm excited. I mean, I'm just excited to have you both here and like honor, honestly, that you guys are part of the Central American Voices because we are about to hit 6 years of this podcast, and for four of
That's
them,
nuts.
I did it solo. Oh my god, it's just it hits hard when I think about it. I mean, not kind of solo. Like I started with Susan, and I love my Susie girl, and it hit to the point that she was traveling a lot and then it couldn't continue, right? But like my love for this platform has always been there. And then I started to do it solo, and then I had kind of like help people helping me, but it's kind of was just kind of like me guiding, and it was became a lot because it was like 13 volunteers and me, you know what I mean? It was like
Mm.
it just became a lot. So I feel like once I met with Brenda and like kind of joined into the team, it was like, oh, I was like, I have help. You know what I mean? But also I think then it became more like we both had the same ambitions and goals for this platform, and not just for the platform, but just for the Central American community in general. That we are so busy doing a lot of things that sometimes we were like, wait, we have to get back to the podcast. We have to get back to the podcast. And then Liz came back. And then, like, she's the one who keeps us in check every single week. She's like, meetings every single week, girls. We have to go review this thing. We have to schedule this guest. And now we have guest schedule all the way to next year.
Yeah, I'm basically ADing like our routine of just like getting things together. I remember like telling you, Elevate, like, give me something to do, please. I am itching for work.
And I
And
remember
then
just telling you, like, you want something to do? I'll give you something to do.
I looked you dead in the eye and I was like, give me something to do. And I meant it. And then once you were like, hey, can you help me? I was like, let's go.
She's like,
Yay.
finally.
Finally. Oh my God,
I
I've been
win.
asking Ale.
You know what's funny too? I was actually hanging out with Matthew Serrano, who's another Salvadorian filmmaker. He's a director. Shout outs to him. Uh, and I remember telling him, I was like, yeah, I just need to find something to do. And then right after I hung out with him was when you texted me, and I was like, oh, slay. When Central Americans
Manifestation.
get together, it just all
Yeah.
comes together, and I love it.
Yeah. Well, I kind of have like a question for both of you. I mean, I feel like I have never asked this question to any of you, but like more than friendship and that we met, but is why did y'all decided, okay, let me be part of the Central American Voices podcast or this organization and team? Like what was that? That was like not because I love Ali, you know, but it's like what was like for both of you your decision?
I think what really drew me to like Central American Voices podcast is very much just like self-explanatory of like giving our voices, because it's like, yes, I'm from LA, and like specifically like Southeast LA is very immersed with Latinos, but not a lot of Salvadorians that I've noticed, or at least not where I grew up in Sela. So it's like I always kind of felt like a minority within my own community, which is so strange because like we're already minorities, and I feel like I'm a minority within a minority group. And so I never
Hmm.
got to see like that kind of representation or like platform where, you know, being Salvadorian or Central American, like just kind of having those nuances together. Like I love my Mexican friends to death. Like I would say like 80% of my friends are like Mexican, or like, you know, half or whatever. But I feel like there's just different experiences in being Latino that aren't always correlated to like the same parts of Latin America. Like Mexicans have their collective stuff, Central Americans have like another collective and like mixed experiences that we join. Caribbean, same thing. South American, same thing. But I feel like disconnection and like experience and perspective is like it doesn't feel good. So I feel like once I discovered that, you know, you did this podcast, I was like, oh, I want to join that. I want to contribute and just give more chances for Central Americans to really be able to like show their stuff off, because it's like we're already as a collective Latinos like not really represented. Central Americans, I feel like it's like maybe a smidgen, and especially me being Salvadorian, it's like um, there's a lot of other nuances that like tie into it, and also like again, intersectionality is a big thing. I'm first generation. I'm queer. I'm, you know, femme presenting. It's like the way that I live my life is not the exact same way that other people in our community live their lives. It's all there's different things, and I feel like again, providing more context of like how we live is like a good way to show like, hey, we're all Central American, but like the uniqueness is what really makes us like more special, and like just I don't know, giving more hope to people that like, hey, we can do this. Just because it's you don't visibly see it doesn't mean it's not there, if that makes sense, in my
Mm,
opinion.
yeah, love that.
That is so beautiful. I'm like, how do I follow up? Jeez. No, but honestly, for me, it just came down to just wanting to see, yeah, that more of representation, especially through media. And it's funny because I was following Alejandra for a long time before she followed me back.
Clock it.
But it was just like there wasn't enough Honduran representation that I saw. So whenever you would see someone of a different, like, it's like, oh, I'm a Honduran filmmaker, I was like, hell yeah, I'm supporting, like, follow. Like. And so that for me, especially when it came down to her offering me joining the team, I one was amazed because it's just like the amazing stuff that you've created with this platform is just so great. But also just kind of like, yeah, going out there and pushing forward. And I think that as activists for more representation that looks like us, it was just really important for me to kind of join and help amplify. And here we are.
And here we are, and we're doing that. I feel like for me, it's like both of you felt like family, and I think that's something that, like, it's so, because again, I think for a very long time I was very protective of this baby. Like, I was just like, this is my baby, like it.
I mean, rightfully
um
so, though. Like, this is like a platform that you want to like cherish and like protect, you know?
yes, yes, and I
Mhm.
think um with Susie, we used to talk about it, like how we wanted to be protective of it because of so many things, right? And then when I went solo, I was protecting it because for me, as someone who was undocumented, there was the only way that I could share the stories that I wanted to, because I couldn't do it at a level yet, right? But
Mhm.
I was very protective of that. And I think for me, when I started thinking, because someone told me, well, you cannot grow if you don't have a team. You cannot grow alone. And that's just in general with community. Like, we need a community for all of us to grow. And I was like, yeah, but I was like, but I want to feel like family. You know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah.
because the podcasts have always been that space to people, come for people to come to talk and to share their story and their perspective. But it's like, as I we always talk, like, oh, Central Americans are brothers and sisters, right? I wanted to feel
Mhm.
that way, and I think, like, when I met both of you, it's like I felt that way. It's like it's a bond that cannot get described, but it's just like I just feel at home. And I think with everybody in this team, because it's, Brenda's our producer, Liz is our associate producer, we have a editor, which is Karina, shout out to her. We have Brenda's sister, who is our consulting producer, and my mom, who's also a consulting producer. We can talk about why a consulting producer, but and then we have a new addition, which is Calista, who's gonna help us with social media and audio. That just happened that we all women, and I love that. you know
Mhm.
but also it's like it feels like a no sisterhood, family, or families are very involved, and like it's just something that for me is what Central American Voices is. As a family is where we connect to share our stories and to amplify one another, you know what I mean?
Right. I feel like when I first met you, Ale, because it was like a long, not a while, not a long
Because
time
we
ago.
went and we met at a leave, no?
Lali Frat Party 2021. It was in Santa
Ooh.
Monica. Me, you, Christina, and a couple other people sat at a table. Edward James Olmos
Yes.
sat at our table. It was a very, very interesting conversation, and I feel like I was a dumb little.
Wait. Go back, go back. He
Huh?
sat at your table?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's what.
He did.
You
He's great, by the
nonchalant.
way.
Yeah,
No,
I heard
he's
he's amazing.
he's great.
Yeah,
He's great.
he's so great.
He's so sweet. He's very. I mean, I've like kind of known him for a little bit because I was a YCP kid, so
Hmm.
like he was very kind of connected with us. But I
Yeah.
remember when we were like exchanging information, like I was a dumb 20-year-old, like I had no sense of like what I was
The
doing, like I mean, I know, like I can say that now, like I'm gonna be 25 next week. I'm like, listen, I was a little, I had no direction or sense of where I was going. And I feel like once we exchanged like information and you're like, oh, I'm Honduran, I was like, yes, let's go. I like it actually, like I was like, it healed a lot of my inner child being like, okay, finally someone who is very similar to me. Having
Mm-hmm.
like, and I have this conversation a lot with like people that I come across with, is like having, again, having that connection or having similar areas with people is like so incredibly important, because like community is also just built off like feeling unseen and like feeling like you don't really have sometimes people that like really understand, because it's like it's easy, again, similarities with other communities of like, yeah, I see where you're coming from, but it's like, okay, but do you know at least like a good 60 to 80% of like what I feel and why that is.
Mm-hmm.
So when you told me that you were from Honduras, I was like, slay, because like, you know, like my mom, I feel like it's some sort of tie to Honduras, because like when my mom is going through like, you know, the refugio in the war in El Salvador, she fled to Honduras and she was in a refugee camp for like 10 years. And so, and I even like visited Honduras like later on, and it's such a like such a beautiful country. I was like, oh my god. And so like I remember I texted you and I was like, I went to Honduras today. It was so nice. Yeah. Such a beautiful place. It was really
Mm-hmm.
cold in the middle of like a Salvadorian summer, but it was beautiful. It was definitely a filling experience to like also just like get to know you, and like, you know, once we had this like little link, it's like we could fully come together, and
Mm-hmm.
it felt quite nice.
Yeah.
Quite
Quite
nice.
nice. Yeah, I think it's that like I think with Brenda, when I met with Brenda, because with Brenda we met very interesting too.
Uh-huh.
I mean, people very interesting. So yeah, Brenda used to follow the podcast and follow me for a long time that I didn't know. I'm sorry, I didn't follow you back.
Is missing
um,
out.
I know I was missing out of how
Right.
fun and beautiful her life is and everything, but we have a mutual friend, and
Mm.
at the time we were doing, I think, Yola, right, like an
Mhm.
animation, and I think you sent something, and I remember I was just telling my like my team, but like, she's on Durham, I mean, she had her in the team, you know, it was like I love her work and this and that, but I think it was just budget restriction that we couldn't have like, something like that, and then I remember we started like talking, right, and
Mhm.
until we met in person out of my friend screening, as for Christina's screening.
Mm.
Christina's,
Yeah,
yeah.
so Christina's screening. And then
Shout out
after,
Christina.
shout out to my girl Christina.
Shout outs.
And then I think after I'm like probably not remembering well, but it was just like I think after that was did like it's you know, it's like I can explain like a I felt like I was meeting like an older sister. I never had an older sister, right? I'm not gonna disclose Brenda's age, but she's older than me, and I was like,
Y'all can guess.
yeah, but you are older than me, but you look 25. Like
Simply
you
that
don't age.
Thank
she moisturizes, SPF,
She yeah, she
retinol,
put
all.
like todo. And so I felt
I'm
like
like,
you know, like an older sister I never had, and the conversations
oh.
were very like, oh, like we're just sisters, and I when I explain to people, oh, like a Brenda, oh, like she's like my sister, and her families met, and her
Mhm.
family made ¿cómo se llama? Hizo pastelitos, ¿verdad? And era yuca también con chicharrón.
Yeah, yuca con chicharrón, yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
Central American shit ever.
And then
Yeah.
my mom took like horchata. So like, and just come to say, like, you know, when I was telling you how particular I was of this platform, I think for me, other than that, it's like I found my family like in similar experiences, right? But also something that aside from this, like we are friends, and we do cool shit together, you know what I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
and not only work on set together, we go out together, we have fun together, but also like we can relate on a lot of things. So I am so grateful of having both of you.
Oh,
Slay.
you're so sweet. Yeah, I mean, when it happened, I just like remember us connecting. Like if we were picking up a conversation that kept having online, which is so funny because you have your friends, your internet friends, and you're like, hey, like and you finally meet, and it just felt like a carried on conversation, and yeah, it was very important for me, like for especially if we were gonna be on board for this and many other projects, just to have families meet. And it's just because of how small the communities are here. Obviously, like I want to give a big shout out to, the Salvadoran community, because it's the closest thing I felt to home. Like
Mm-hmm.
growing up
Right.
here in LA, there was a lot of people who just, oh, my light went out. um, yeah, it was just a lot of people who you know, I wasn't able to connect with just everyone. It's like a different culture, a different identity. And so whenever I would hear that Salvadoran accent, I'd be like, oh my God, like little piece of home. And it's like being the only Honduran kid at school. Like there was other Hondurans, but they were my cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah, so like so having that and like building on community and also just connecting with other Central Americans and amplifying their voices, and just kind of like seeing how beautiful, especially in the filmmaking community, how
Mm-hmm.
beautiful that representation looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm just gonna give a little shout out to Ben, because he got our girl to co-direct a freaking music video about Central American baddies.
Literally.
Yes. No, shout out to
Yes.
Ben. I think, you know what, when I was talking about how when I graduated the season, right, for a film, I know that because of my study I couldn't go and follow a normal path, right? So here we are for that reason, right?
Right.
And I've always been aiming of doing a lot of Central American focus, I like media, like not only like music videos, not only podcasts, but like anything that can help representation of our community in front and behind the camera, right? Because I think that was my main purpose of going to film school, and to this day I'm like, that is my mission. Like I understood what is my mission, that I want to work for that, you know what I mean? It's like,
Absolutely.
so in 2024 I met Brenda, oh my god, no, I was like Becca, this is the other person with the B. Becca.
I'm telling Becca.
And so sorry, sorry, Brenda, Becca.
Yeah.
I met Becca, and then we started talking, and she was about to release this Salvadoran Queen EP, and I was
Mm-hmm.
so honored and grateful that I had the opportunity to like creative direct that. Liz was my like AD there, well, second AD,
Yeah.
and I was, for me it was very important to bring a lot of Central Americans part of this, and then because of all the work that I probably have been doing, it's so crazy how through life and works, of like when Ben was looking for a cinematographer, he's like, four people send me your profile. I was like, okay, I guess people know that I am Central American as fuck.
They know you
you know
exist.
they exactly, like they know you exist, and I feel so honored, and like working with him and the collaboration with him was amazing. And the song, to me, like it's just spoke about, like, I mean, it's un reggaeton
It was
fire,
lit.
fire. But other than just being a reggaeton, I think it was celebrating Central American women, and so like that's something that we really work a lot of together to like bring. I we spoke about how the diversity that we wanted to see, we work hard to make sure like every single girl that was behind the camera was very diverse, and like shout out to him for all safety and all production thing, because he went that extra mile. And I think for me it's like when I think about all these things that have to be with Central America, like I just feel honored, right? And I go back to when I was a little girl, because my mom was like, Alejandra, like you love like Honduras, like since you were born. Like mi mamá me
Mhm.
hacía like se burlaba de mí, porque like there was one time that I went to Miami when I was 4 years old, and then dice, veníamos volando en el avión y dijeron como, oh, like ya estamos entrando en aire hondureño. Dice, Alejandra, vos te paraste, empezaste a cantar el himno nacional. Like, I've been Honduran as fuck since I was little girl. Like,
That's so funny.
Oh my
my
God.
mom
Someone
dice
make her
like,
an ambassador. Someone make her an ambassador. Like
No, yeah.
where is this title?
right? A ese entonces, pues, ¿me entiendes? Era Taca, and, ay, no me acuerdo qué era, but whatever.
Sí, era Taka.
But my
Uh,
mom was like, yeah, everybody started looking at you because you stood up, your hand in the heart, and you started singing the national anthem of Honduras.
So cute.
So I go back like, damn, I've always loved my country. Like, damn, you know.
Yeah.
It was your
Um,
mom that's like, oh my god.
like, oh my God, esta niña,
She's
siéntate.
like, I don't know her.
Ay, no, Dios mío. I'm like, but 4 years old and hear me singing the whole national anthem. Like,
That's really nuts,
Man.
actually.
yeah, but
Sorry.
and I think like going back to what Brenda was saying about like the importance of
Mhm.
family and the being community, it's that like for both of us was very important for our families to meet, because
Right.
and going back to about this episode about talking about our team, her sister
Right.
and my mom are advice like our consultant producer. Like my mom, before any episode goes out, she's gonna watch it. He's gonna give me notes. Her sister reviews it, sends notes back to us. There's events notes back to us, and I think it's just that, like, a community of like trying to see the best for us.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think that's like really important. I feel like going back to what you were saying, Ale, about like, Ale, I'm not Ale, about Becca and Ben.
Se
Ale,
mató
what's
todos mis
happening?
Oh
todos los
my
libros se me
god.
cayeron. Oh my
That's
god.
nuts. Back to what you were saying about Ben and Becca, because I remember when you like texted me, because me and you had known each other for like a while, but we just never actually worked together. So
Mhm.
like I just remember like actually my inner child like very much healing on that shoot, because I was like, wow, like there's a bunch of Salvi women, and this feels nice to me because like I'm not really connected with my family. Like I'm very much kind of like alone where I live, and it's like being able to see like women of like different complexions, different curl textures, because I'm the only one like but between me and my sisters, I am the only one with curly hair. My mom has really curly hair, but she, like siempre lo trae en moño, and it's
Mhm.
like that's like a very big thing to have. And also Becca, also being from Southeast LA, is like, oh great, another person who's almost like me who has a similar experience. And then with Ben's music video and that reggaeton, it was lit. I was like, yeah, like I hit the Anthony Mackie, that yeah. But I think what really like I loved about that too is that like, and not to sound like like mushy or whatever, but I think having that kind of support from like a man in our community is so incredibly healing, especially in our culture, unfortunately, where it's like dibble dabbled with a bunch of like machismo, and it's like very like natural for men to just be kind of dismissive towards women. But it's
Mhm.
also, so it's
Mhm.
very nice to be like, oh yeah, like like how people say like, oh, you like, do you like your girlfriend, or do you just like care about her, do you love her? I feel like Ben showing all of that representation and actually like complimenting and like honoring us as women is like so incredibly important. And I feel like that's something that maybe a bit more men in our community should
Yeah, and I
engage
think
in.
how intentional he was too,
Mhm.
where he was like, I need a woman like director for this. And again, if you haven't listened to it, go watch Ben
Stream.
Carrillo,
Yeah.
Centroamericana.
Centroamericana.
Dana.
It's like it's all in whatchamacallit, it's on YouTube. Go wherever you stream your music.
Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're
Yes,
gonna link it. We're
but
gonna link it in the description
show
so they
notes.
can go.
Yeah, but honestly, it's just like how intentional he was with that and how
Mm-hmm.
important that is, and I think that's something that yeah, it gets often dismissed in Central American communities, especially
Mhm.
because it's like women are portrayed a certain way, and it's like, oh, we're they portray us as like, oh, the jealous type, like, oh, but also don't be showing too much, but also like it's
Mhm.
just like there's so many stereotypes behind that. And just seeing just women like enjoying, and also for us to be seen,
Mhm.
it's just like he knew that. And that's, I think, something that's just commendable to him as an advocate, just kind of being like, I haven't heard them shouting out our Central American baddies. And
Mm-hmm.
and then chose to create that song and just be like, hey girls, I see y'all.
Yeah,
And
like yeah.
yeah, and it's just like for a man to do that, like Ben Carrillo, I applaud you.
My Cheppy, very much so. Like I think people tend to forget intention is super important. The way you place
Mhm.
your intentions in your art, in your craft, or whatever it is that you do, will always very much show in the impact. If you are
Mhm.
not having the attention, if you are not committing to it, there's kind of it's gonna show off weak, and people are gonna see that you're not trying. So
Yeah.
I think that's also another thing of like, again, intention is everything. The more you put into it, the more you commit to it, the more it'll pay off. And Ben, he ate.
Ate that up, and I love that he's getting the flowers that he deserves, and the song is getting the recognition that it deserves because of what you said. Like, we have never had a song that have ever said or nationalities that we can be like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
no.
especially in mainstream media, right? I think that maybe some other artists have done it, but like I've never seen it in like in reggaeton or something like that. And I
Mhm.
I
think
think the
it's
closest thing was like seeing the Honduran flag in Oye Mi Canto. Like that was the most
yes,
exciting little tidbit. Like I
yes.
was just like, oh my god!
I was like, I think
They didn't mention us explicitly, but just seeing the flag was very
yeah,
exciting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I think it's that I think, oh my god, pulso vivo pulso. Let me go check that.
I'm a little
Um,
upset that summer's ended. I usually don't like summer, but I'm like, damn, this would have played hard at the clubs in the summer.
yeah. Pero sabes
Let's go
que
to the club.
We're just gonna hand it off to the DJ and be like, here, Centroamericana, bump that.
okay.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna shout out someone, this platform called Somos Pulso Vivo, which is a plataforma periodística from
Mm,
Guatemala that they're sharing culture, and they made a very cool like infographic about Centroamericana.
mm.
Felt very honored, of course, to have been mentioned, but I think what I loved about that research is how they specifically talk about Oye Mi Canto, about Latino Forever, and about other songs that they're so good, and there's nothing bad about like those artists, but it's like, but there's have always been a lack of representation when it comes to Central Americans, like representation in a way of like being mentioned, right? So
Mhm.
they're always been like, for Latina Forever, like, oh, todo el mundo quiere una colombiana, una puertorriqueña, and it's like very fun. And of course, like, she's from Colombia, and of course she's gonna mention that, like, it's not, but I think we have always been like, oh, it's us. And I remember when Ben showed me the song, because I was fired, and then I remember him telling me like, why is there's no songs that talk about Central American women? And we were talking about reggaeton and stuff like that. And I told him one time that I was on TikTok, a very TikToker. Yeah, I like to scroll.
Social media
And
girly.
I was just a media girly, and I remember our girls or sisters from the Mexican community were getting mad about Latina Forever not being mentioned, right? Like
I
the
remember this
Mexicans,
discourse. I remember this
was
discourse.
not being mentioned, especially. And I remember I was a lot of videos, and then one of the videos I decided to click on the comments, because the comments is always the fun part on TikTok, honestly.
Right.
And I remember someone posted, um, us Central American are already used to that. We're not even expecting it.
Yep.
And
I
it's
remember
like,
this
Yeah.
discourse. I
like
do.
it like I think it hurt me. Like, damn, like our girls are so expecting, like no one sees us. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
damn, like that hurtful.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember this discourse and being like, um, when I see people like of that nature, just kind of being like, they didn't mention us. I'm like, oh, well, this happens to us on the daily. Now you know what it feels like to be an afterthought.
Yeah. Well, for me, like the thing that I didn't one, I didn't even know that was like shout out to our Latina Mexican Latinas, like they're
For
amazing.
sure.
For
But
sure.
I didn't even know that was an issue. I actually, the way I kind of got into the discourse was more because, and I think as Central American Latina, with indigenous like ancestry and
Hmm.
everything, like
Mm-hmm.
we're so, yeah, I think we're so used to being overseen, like it's just like we're overlooked, we're not really, like represented. Where when people think Latina, it's like, there's this huge like difference of how people portray Latinidad. And to
Yeah.
me, the first thought that I had about the video, I was just like, oh my god, like they look fantastic. But
Mm-hmm.
two, I was like, there was, for me personally, like, I didn't see enough diversity when it came to, the color scale of where Latinidad like fits, because we're so diverse in that aspect. And also yeah, hair textures, it's just like, and also how there is, representation through all shapes and sizes. And that includes, like, like girls who may not be as, like voluptuous, and some girls who are. And it's just like, we look so different in different capacities. And I felt like we were seeing like I wouldn't want to call it a stereotype, but a template of what she was describing in the song.
Yeah, very
And
much.
not,
It's
no shade to the
no,
girlies,
no,
because
no.
they look fantastic.
No, they
I mean,
look tea.
they look good, and the song is good.
Mhm.
It's just those are comments, you know what I mean, that we
Mhm.
notice.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
that's something very much that I've noticed of like it's like not again not to like shade people's looks. It's all about like having the discourse, but it's like the whole tying back to like Latinos are not a monolith. It's very much like I feel I feel like sometimes our community does this thing where it's like we want representation so bad and we really want to like, have people shout it out and like, show people what it's like to be different and diverse and all these other types of things, which is great. But then we kind of just do the opposite thing. And I not only is it not productive, I feel like it's also very destructive in a sense where it's like it destroys individuality and that's like so bad. Because like
Mm-hmm.
again, for me, I feel like and this is just my personal experience being femme presenting, being someone who likes to be more on the alternative side, and also having curlier hair up until recently. My hair was mostly blue. Now it's like only 20%. Again, having different people that look a certain way, and also like maybe people who are like voluptuous in different parts of their bodies, or like having like, different complexions, like it's so important. It's layered. Again, how I was talking about earlier, it's all very intersectional. And it's like when there's not enough representation or at least like anything that's visual like that, it kind of, I don't want to say defeats the purpose of having the conversation regarding, diversity. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how we can continue to, for lack of a better word, complain or just like kind of say it, but like not actually put the money where our mouth is. And I feel like
Mhm.
again, I feel like at least from the artists that we've been like working with, like Ben, Becca, like I feel I can see that they're actually making the attempt, but I also feel like it ties back into like capitalism with like these bigger artists of like what does it look like all about aesthetics and like sometimes maybe this is just me. Sometimes that shit doesn't really matter. If you are trying
Mm-hmm.
to gravitate to an audience and get more people to really feel represented, great. Being Latino, being a woman, being X, Y, and Z, that's a great start. But where else are we taking it if it's just very surface level? It's
Mm-hmm.
not always just about aesthetics. It's about again, how I was saying earlier, intention. Intention will always infect or not infect, that's a terrible word. Intention will always gravitate in your impact, how hard it hits. Does it hit
Mm-hmm.
hard or does it just hit soft?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love
She
that. I
said. She
love
said what
that.
she said.
She
I
said
said
what
so.
she said. Yeah, no, but I mean, I
Yeah.
totally agree. It's just like there's different types of representation, like in different
Yeah.
aspects. And
Mm.
as you were saying, like for me, it's just like I'm a cis woman. I was like Latina,
Mm-hmm.
like with indigenous, mainly indigenous ancestry, like,
Right, right.
and also different aspects. And actually, I'm like, we're gonna go talk. Well, I guess we can start into that topic too. I take issue when people call me, or like, oh, are you Hispanic?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, no, 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 no,
Mm.
no, 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 I am not. And yes, in the terminology of it, like, sure, you could consider me Hispanic, but it's not all I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, technically, according to 23andMe, RIP.
Right, right,
It's like 30 something percent of, like, Spain. And it's just like, it's not like,
right.
I think sometimes in our Latinidad, like we also like, we're take pride in the things that we have, but at the same time, it's like also things that we were taught through, los españoles and um,
Colonialism. Yeah, yeah,
colonialism, all tea, all shade.
yeah. Very.
And and yeah, it's just like, again, going back to that representation, what that looks like, and also like how we embody it, like how we assimilate to a lot of things, but also like how we also grow in the US, and how we take on little things that like mean so much to me. That means so much to us.
Mm-hmm.
I think I always joke around with the girls. I'm just like, I can be preppy. I can be that, like, like dress like, I'm work at a law firm type of vibe. But at the same time, like, I have that little, like, like, I love that little dark, like, Wednesday Adams vibes, and that comes out too. And it's just like, we all look so different. We all have different styles, and I think that's the beauty of it, of how we can incorporate, um, our Latinidad into that. And also, yeah, just speaking with intention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like having layers of ourselves as identity is super super important because it's like it's also context of who we are as a people. And again, going back to perspective is like yes, like the three of us are, femmes and we're Central American, but we have not all lived the same lives.
Yeah.
Like I am first gen, both my parents are war refugees, they're immigrants. I'm the youngest child, I'm the baby, I'm the brat. And so like I recognize
She's
like I've
like,
also
"Bet."
I recognize, especially as I've gotten older, like how much I've also kind of grown with like privilege in a sense of like being born in the U.S. And then like
Mm-hmm.
on top of that, like because my dad especially is very a hardworking person, like I never had to worry about like being put on like food stamps or like government assistance, like and also later on my grandma before she passed away RIP, she paid off all the apartments that like me and my family live in here in LA. So like I never had to worry about like you know what a lot of people in our community face of like having to have financial like grand stress that just like fucks everything up for all of us. And it's like again, I've lived here, I've never had to worry about that. I got to go to college, I got to pursue my education, like unfortunately in a sense like live better than what my parents could have ever imagined. Like I
Mm-hmm.
got to have a childhood my parents didn't get to. Like my mom grew up in a refugee camp. My dad like immigrated here when he was 12 during Reagan. And it's like I ignorant. Like I never kind of wrap my head around like what other Latinos that like don't live my circumstances live. Like Ale, you're undocumented. I will never
Mm-hmm.
understand what that's like to have to leave what I call home. I've never moved anywhere a day in my life. That's privilege. That again,
Mm-hmm.
layers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something also to like recognize that like we all live different experiences in the same way that we're talking about representation is like the same Latino story is like having like the backbone or like the template as you were saying Brenda is like oh it's all we're all immigrants and sometimes it's like no like we again have different lived experiences and like it doesn't always have to be the same story told in media.
Mm-hmm.
There's different ways to go about it that doesn't always have to like also come at the expense of like kind of maybe like the way generational trauma is also told.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always the same way. We can tell
Mm-hmm.
about how our experiences affect us without it always having to come at the expense of like our dignity as people. And I feel like that's something that's kind of like it's like like I understand that we want to tell our stories, but it's like we can always talk about other things that like impact us maybe on different levels, or sometimes like also positive impact. Like what is it
Mm-hmm.
about being Latino that really you know gets to have us live the lives that we do. Like me being in LA and like whenever I come across people who are not from LA, and this is maybe a little shade, first thing I will always tell people once I find out where they're from, I'll be like, you need to learn Spanish. I'm not kidding because you know how nice it is to like go into like a corner store or like
Mm-hmm.
some place and just or like a fruit stand and be able to like chop it up with like people like if they're your neighbors even though you've never met them. Having that like hospitality is like also like a nice thing that we get to like engage with as people in our community. And I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
again, I feel like I would love to see more of that kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
in media, of like, you know, if I'm having a bad day and like, you know, if I'm getting fruit or if I'm getting something, and if the señora me dice, oh, muy amable mija, como Dios te bendiga, even though I'm not religious, I'll be like, damn, that, yeah, thank you, well, I'll take it, I'll take that bendición. Damn
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm like that. I'm like, damn it, that's fine, you know?
It's like
Yeah.
little pieces that feel like home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
just so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I think also, when you were talking about the representation, like the intentionality, and also like how all of us have lived like different lives, and
Mm-hmm.
um, that shape us, right, and that we approach life differently, right. And I think um, media try to put us into this bubble that we have all like deep traumas and all this thing. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying that a lot of our community doesn't, like, like your family is like fled a war, like. And I think like sometimes when I think about my Salvadoran community, I'm
Right.
just like, when there's like, when people start talking, I'm like, y'all need to understand that there's a lot of war trauma in generational, like it's a lot, and I think that is a
Yeah.
layer that we cannot relate to other nationalities, right? Or like, for example, Honduras never had a war, right? But like
Right.
we had a lot of U.S. interventions, so it's like another thing that we always have to be fighting. And it's like, now, for example, for me, I migrated here after a coup, right?
Mm.
And how I see my country and how it was my country before that is, it's different. The way I see U.S. Foreign policies is completely different too. But also, like you were saying about privilege, I I was born in the city over there. I was in a private school. I migrated here in a plane. Yes, I am undocumented here, but I understand the privilege that it comes to coming in with a visa, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and 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 how that looks like. And even in the undocumented communities, how like that is perceived, right, too. Because yes, it's a huge privilege that I will never ever ever understand what it is crossing a border, right. But that doesn't mean like for example, that my status, right, and what I live here, it's it's um it's privilege. Not, it's not. Yes, I came with a
Mm-hmm.
privilege, but like, then I'm here without it, you know what I mean. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I try to think about all the stories that sometimes, and like in media, right, like for example, like Brenda, right, like her family story, like your family story, or like stories that with a lot of guests that we have discussed here, like that's what makes us a lot of times like not only Central American, but like also in a way, when we, us that we're filmmakers and we are doing this podcast, it's like, this is why we're pushing for the intention to have more representation. Because a lot of people just see, and this is just focused on Central America, um
Right.
Central Americans as like gangs, Central Americans of violence, corruption. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, that's there, but there's a lot of other stories that needs to be highlighted. There's a lot of more
Mm-hmm.
experiences that, like you said, growing up in in Los Angeles, right, and
Yeah.
how Spanish should be the second language at this point, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or how it is to go to a corner and feel like pieces of your home. And I think like
Mm-hmm.
throughout the years, I've been very grateful for this podcast, that it has helped me feel at home, but putting pieces of myself, but also it has helped other people. And like that every experience has felt for other people, every experience that have been shared in here has felt for other people like seen, and feel like, yeah, that's my story, and I can now go and explore more of their own identity, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much it's so much more easier to gravitate when there's layers of like relatability, because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like for me, when I went to college, towards the end of, at least when I was about to graduate, because I went to Cal State LA,
Mm-hmm.
again, majority Latinos. Even though I did come across some people who were like maybe like half Central American, a lot of them were also men. Not a bad thing. But again, it's also just like that like intersectionality of like, you know, you will only experience part of what I understand. And it's like, yeah, like I feel like when you have like the more connection you have to somebody, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Context is always really, really important. And I feel like, when we're talking about, how we've lived experiences and a level of privilege and like, political trauma is very much a real thing, but especially again, my parents being more refugees is like whenever I come across like other Central Americans, sometimes I don't understand what that means, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I feel like the only other person who really understands me is one of my really good friends who, his parents fled the Vietnam War, and so
Mm-hmm.
and he's my age, so I feel like when I am able to like talk about those kind of things, it's like I'll be like, okay, like he understands what that's like. And even with like my other Salvadorian friends that are like my other Salvadorian colleagues that I've gotten to know throughout like the past year and a half, uh, it's also sad when we see how much like that generational trauma kind of molds you into this really, really warped form, and also the expectations of like how to live your life and like how to be this and how to be that and all these like other rules. And it's I understand it's like for the sake of survival, but I think something as I've been getting older is like really taking into consideration, like now my philosophy, or at least like my mantra this year is very much just like I don't live just to survive,
Mm-hmm.
because what kind of life am I going to live? And hey, maybe that's me speaking out of privilege, but if the whole point of my family, coming here to give us a better life, I'm gonna live it. I don't want to live just to survive. And on top of that, while I'm living, one of my life missions, I feel like one of my purposes of being, in filmmaking and in media and all this stuff is like, I'm going to, like, I'm not even gonna say I want to, I'm going to vouch for Central Americans everywhere. I'm gonna stick my foot in the door and I'm gonna knock that bitch over. Like, like it's like I kind of, and maybe this is also just like my again like my lineage and my family being very much just like never like sitting around waiting for the shit to happen, is very much just like my parents have always taught me like if you want something, you're gonna go and get it. Like it's never been
Mm-hmm.
like a question of like, what if I should, like, should I not do this? I'm just like, no, like if I'm ready to go, like I don't even have time to like think about like whether or not this is a good decision to do. Is like chasing for it. I feel like that's another thing that kind of holds us back in our communities, is also like expectation of parents of, we have to be this, we have to be that, or we can't say this because of this. And we've seen it in like Stand and Deliver with, I forgot that character's name, but she's like a girl who like wants to go to college, and but like her parents want her to like stay in the restaurant and help the family business. And it's like I feel like the more we stay tied to like those kind of generational traumatic bonds of like, but we have to stick together because what if something happens, we have to survive together. But also like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there's a lot of tensions in the household. It's like I feel like we have to kind of break apart from these expectations of to stay low, to stay hidden, to stay invisible, just so we don't get seen. But again, being seen is a very, very important thing. We can't expect to go anywhere in representation if we are not showing up. And the same thing that I do whenever I'm on set, whenever I'm doing my safety meetings as an AD, one of my main points I always tell people is, make your presence seen, make your presence known. Call your points, call your corners. If you need to move something, if you need people to move, call it out. That's how exactly how I feel of like we need to make our presence seen and our presence known if we want to get even a smidget anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's something I'm very passionate about, is like whenever I see people who are scared, I'm like, fair, valid. But also remember, again, community, camaraderie is super important. You don't have to do this alone. That's
Mm-hmm.
why we are a team. That's why we're here. And that's something I always have to like kind of tell my like colleagues of like, hey, like what's on? Talk to me. Let's figure it out. Let's assess, let's dissect, and let's move. Because again, that I don't want to say culture, but like that, like I guess culture of survival within my family has been very much just like very hyperfixated on like moving, never staying stuck. For me, it's like I can't stay stuck. Like it's very much ingrained of me of like I have to always bounce back. I always have to keep moving. I can stop and think about stuff and be like, all right, what is not working? but like stop and quit altogether. That's not in my language. That's not in my vocabulary to quit.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel like it's not happening here. But again, that's the same thing. That's the same momentum that we need to carry if we want to go
Mm-hmm.
places. Like, but I feel like again, it takes steps. It's a process. But I feel like us as a collective are, I feel like we're definitely making a lot more progress. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
again, us, Becca, Ben. I don't know why, but Julio Torres came into mind
Yes.
when he did Problemista.
Problemista.
When I tell you, that movie spoke to me because like I've also worked in corporate setting within like in media and filmmaking, and being the only Latin person and especially Salvadorian, when Tilda Swinton was like papusas, I was like, oh, why do you reach inside my brain, Julio Torres? And also like seeing another queer Salvadorian is so important to me because like for me, even though I'm from LA and like there's a lot of queer people, it's also like another layer of like stigma in our
Mm-hmm.
community to be queer, to be anything different. So like seeing another queer Salvadorian, I'm like, hey, let's go. I'm very excited seeing the domination or seeing the world take over of Central Americans and Latinos in our
Yay.
community. But I'm also very as equally excited to see more queer Latinos to show that like we eat, like we can totally do it. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually really like that you mentioned that the whole like papusas thing.
Dude.
um, because I've been in a corporate setting where again I'm the only Latina, I'm the only person of color, and I'm also like
Right,
the only the only Central American. And I
right,
remember one time, again, this is like so normal for me. It might not be
right,
for all of y'all, but
right.
plátanos fritos con frijoles fritos, quesito, like it's just like the main, like it's a regular for me
It's a
morning
staple.
dish.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, it's just like you want to make something quick, you're done. And I remember I was eating my food, just like a normal Wednesday, whatever. And someone came up to me and was like, oh my God, like, what are you having? And I was like, oh, fried plantains, frijoles fritos. And she's like, oh, like, you eat, like, the food you eat is so exotic.
That's so annoying. That's so
Ugh, it's
incredibly
those
I'm like,
exaggerated. Ugh.
and then, like, back then I didn't have, like, like like you're taught to like just be like, oh, just play along, like, and now I
Yeah,
would have probably said like, excuse me, like this is exotic to you because you've never experienced this,
Mm-hmm.
but this is
yeah,
everyday dish for me.
yeah. It's like eating plátanos and frijoles is like the same thing for like other people like eating eggs in the morning. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
Also, very,
yeah,
very, very random question. To me, I like to always ask Central Americans this. Okay, when we're
yes.
talking plátanos, firm or mushy? What stance are we on?
Ooh,
Oh.
I think to
Yeah.
me in the middle. Like I like no tan duro, but like mushy a little bit. You know what I mean? Like
I like my
I don't.
plátanos firm.
Yeah, I don't like the too smushy is way too much. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
but tampoco el duro. Like it feels like it doesn't have a lot of taste to me, right? So I feel like I need to be the perfect balance in the middle.
Right, right, right. How about you,
I
Brenda?
do both. I do both. I don't care. I am a big fan of like like plátanos maduros. Like that's just like
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm.
favorite. But if it's like guineo verde, like it's fine. Like I'll just you
Mm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have to have like something on top of it. Like
Yeah. Do
Right,
you
right.
guys eat it like con mantequilla y frijoles or just like mantequilla?
sometimes with queso.
Queso. Okay. And
Yeah.
I
you?
mean, me, it's mostly frijoles or like crema.
Okay. Because
Like, yeah.
because for me, I have to have the mix of mantequilla, like crema and like frijoles together,
Mm.
mixed in the middle, so I can dip it like.
It's like she said French fries.
It's like I get it con el cubierto.
I'm so done.
I'm like the
Yeah,
taste of frijoles with mantequilla and plátano. It's just it
Oh
tastes
my god.
so good.
dude, I
So
very much
good.
I felt that whole like lunch thing because I remember I used to work in a corporate office where I would like order lunch for people, and like we were kind of like in Northeast LA, like kind of close to Highland Park, kind of not.
Yeah.
And I remember like always like ordering food for people, and I'm like, I really want to order pupusas, but also like these people have to work on a laptop, and I'm like, how does that work? Because the whole like eating with your
Mm-hmm.
hands type thing. I'm just like, oh, god damn it. I regret not doing it. It would have been nice.
It would have been a nice surprise. Girl, I want pupusas now. I was like, I've been
uh,
craving them
I have
for
a
so
pupuseria.
long.
I have a pupuseria very
Yeah.
close by. You
I'm
guys
so
want to know something?
picky.
Me
Really?
too. Yeah, no, for
Yeah,
me,
because one, I don't like them too. Okay, this is just okay. Soy hondureña. I'm sorry if this insults anyone. Okay, but this is the thing. I like the pupusas when they're not too like if they're too big and like
Mm,
thick. I'm just like
I get you.
no,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it's too much masa. Like that's how
Mm-hmm.
I feel. And I
right.
personally, my personal, I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
personal, so people won't be offended. My personal
I lay on the
preference
personal.
my personal preference is for it to be like a nice like the small size like but then like when they're making it and then like the cheese or it oozes out and it gets crispy. I'm just like
Oh,
Yes,
see,
yes.
for me, I'm picky in a sense where like I don't know what is in the air with a lot of pupuserias in LA, but sometimes they're a
yeah,
little too greasy for me
yeah,
Yeah.
personally.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've talked about it with like other Salvadoran colleagues where I'm like looking for other places to like eat like pupusas because like I can't ask my mom for pupusas
yeah.
all the time. I crave it. She's gonna be like, "De qué hablas?" No, no, no voy a hacer eso. But I feel like one of my favorite spots, ironically enough, I was like, it's really good. But like the pupusas are like as big as my hand. But like there's no, it's like like cooked perfectly all throughout. It's in Pico Rivera. It's called Paseo San Miguel, and I'm just like,
Mm.
yes, it's so good. I also cannot stand when I see pupusas that are like $5, $6. What are you talking about?
Oh my god! Like yes, because okay, so I think I resonate with Brenda.
Right.
Las pupusas son del Salvador. But what I'm gonna say is that en Honduras las
Uh,
pupusas son un poquito más pequeñas. Like they're like very like this.
they're so
They
little.
they're so little, and they are only two types. Well, three types. Solo con chicharrón,
Mm-hmm.
revueltas with chicharrón y quesillo and queso
Mm-hmm.
and quesillo.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved here, I found out there's a bunch of other style of pupusas. I didn't know you can have frijoles and queso inside. I didn't know revueltas includes frijoles, queso, and chicharrón. And yes,
Yeah.
that was a culture shock when I moved here. And I was like,
Yeah.
I ordered a pupusa revuelta, and they gave me frijoles. And
Frijoles.
I was just like, why does this thing has frijoles? And I remember too, I asked the lady, pedí una revuelta porque tiene frijoles. And she's like, oh, así son las revueltas. But in my head, it's because in Honduras las revueltas is just chicharrón y queso.
Oh.
So, but one time I remember I was my friend Kiara, shout out to Kiara La Artistiada, and
Her.
we were after a run, and then we went to a place just to grab coffee or something like that.
Yeah.
And I saw a pupusa stand, and I was like, oh my
Uh-huh.
God, let me go. Y miré el precio de esas pupusas. Dije, esto es una falta de respeto. Una
Yeah.
falta de respeto. $6 for una pupusa es una falta de respeto. Es una muy gran falta de respeto. Like,
I
to me,
almost
I was like, that gentrification, really
I almost
bad.
hit like the Senora Salvi gasp, like the oh my god. That would make my mama Irma fucking roll in her grave. Holy god.
Bro, I was like, $6? It's the same thing of like baleadas. Una vez vi
Mm.
una baleada por $4 y yo quedé, ¿qué? No. Gentrification of our food.
Oh, gentrification. Oh, yeah, that should be a whole topic.
Yes.
Gentrification of our comida. Yes. Bueno, I used to, how old am I? It's back when you used to earn $8 an hour. It's the pyramid.
Yeah.
Liz.
Sorry, that was
Let,
sorry, I'm just gonna
let's doing the math like how long ago was that?
She's like, what do you mean 8?
No, actually that's what exactly what I thought. I was like, 8?
I gave it away. Yeah, $8 an hour. So like, getting a baleada for like $3 back then, I was just like, what?
Probably
Yeah.
almost
I'm like,
taking
that's
half of
expensive.
a fucking paycheck. That's crazy.
Yeah, $8 an hour. It was a struggle, and they would barely raise it. It was a very well-known coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
Not the one you're thinking. Not the
Mm.
one you're thinking right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was back in the day before minimum wage got raised a couple times. And things are better for some people.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
it's
I
just
actually don't know
crazy.
what the minimum wage is right now, and I guess that's a privilege.
I
I
I
believe
think it's
it's
15.
15?
Mm,
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I
yeah.
think 15. Because for fast food restaurants it's 20.
Uh-huh.
But
Ooh.
general.
I mean, girl,
Um
for the amount of burns you get, like, working in fast food or, like, anything kitchen related, I mean, yes. It is. And it looks so
No,
different in different capacities, and it's just like, yeah, community is important. So if you're out there looking for some Central American community, subscribe.
look at us.
Follow us. Follow us.
Yeah.
And then this episode's gonna come out on Liz's birthday.
Oh yeah.
Feliz cumpleaños, Liz. Now she's
Thank
25.
you. I know.
Yay.
My
It's funny
birthday
Yay.
because
happened
I
in
remember
April.
like like in like you sing happy birthday to you, and it's funny because like in Spanish like you have like there's
Mhm.
different songs.
Yes.
So when people don't sing Ya queremos pastel, I get really sad.
Yeah. O cuando nos escriben al final, like, y semitas también.
Oh,
Like,
oh,
I'm like, ¿por qué no lo agregas? Like, come
yeah.
on.
Well, we don't. We say like was it was it y Coca-Cola también. It's
También.
like y para los niños Pepe, and like por los viejitos café.
No, like, I grew up with eso, y Coca-Cola también, y unas semitas de a 10, y a los
Oh
viejitos
my
café.
god.
So, like, when people don't add, I'm like, you guys are boring. But
That's
yeah.
so funny.
Okay, but happy birthday, Liz. I
Thank
hope you
you.
enjoyed your welcome. I mean, you've been very welcome for a very long time because you've been booking our guests, booking and
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah, we just
You know,
needed an official intro to,
so
everyone on Central American Voices, and I think we should probably do some announcements, no?
yeah, let's do some announcements.
Let's do it.
So this Saturday, Alejandra, you take over because you know more of the details.
Oh yes, hello everybody. Like, what is it like? Hello New York. When they say
Hello.
hello Central America. um, this Saturday, October 11th, if you are in, espérame, voy a leerlo el coso, mami. If you are in Los Angeles específicamente, and you want to go to Latino Carnaval, it's free. It's free for everybody. Brenda and I are gonna MC an AFCFC activation with Sueños team, which they are an entertainment company that owned by Salvadorans. We love to see that. We're gonna MC an ACFC, which is Angel City Football Club, which is the women soccer team of Los Angeles. We're gonna be
Slay.
MCing that, but you can go. There's a carnival. There's gonna have like Oro Sólido, La Sonora Dinamita. They're gonna have like Banda Limón. So if you wanna have some good time, go. And if you wanna have fun with us, come to the IFCFC activation. We're gonna they just sent me actually the run of show. They're gonna be some tournaments, some giveaways, and yeah, we're just gonna have fun and community and celebrating Latino heritage.
Yeah. And then also we had a event back in September, and we had these shirts made. Was it?
El
El
fútbol.
football.
Yeah.
Yes, fútbol
Yeah.
cruza
Yeah.
frontera.
So, go to the football boutique, go grab your tea. It's such a cozy, nice t-shirt, like
Mhm.
jersey. So, yeah, go ahead, go buy some. It supports us continuing to create more events. And
Mhm.
then I think is that all we have for now? And
No,
then potentially the event.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
gonna say, for the shirt, perfect now,
Mhm.
El Fútbol Cruza Fronteras, not only support us, but also you're gonna have a cool shirt designed by Brenda, okay, to wear on the Mundial next year. Because,
Yes.
el fútbol está cruzando fronteras, no del Mundial, pero like, we have all love football, so get it, okay? And
Copy shirt
then
today.
I mean, tuvimos el episodio con Daniela, pero solo para recordarles que octubre 12, el domingo, octubre 12, está comedia en español. So, si todavía no han tomado sus boletos, no los han comprado, vayan a comprarlos porque ya, I think VIP is already sold out.
Oh, wow.
I think some of the VIP tables, the ones that are up front, yes, are sold out, but the VIP booths are still available. General admission still available. And yeah, I mean, go support Daniela, and her amazing, funny, hilarious friends. Also because you guys need to understand. I'm like, this is my serious PSA face. I was like, Daniela is out here bringing comedia en español to a big platform, and it's in the main room at the Comedy Store, and we need to show out because if we want more representation, that means showing up. So if you're doing nothing on Sunday, now you have plans.
Yes, you have a day with us. We'll be there. We will be there. And también, algo, pues, vamos a poner aquí el episodio de Daniela para que lo vayan a escuchar, pero también algo like that I love about her, that she's very aiming about including a lot of other nationalities on her shows, and Jose, which is everybody knows Jose. Okay.
Our favorite
Our
Salvadorian
fellow
Theo. Shouts to him.
Salvadorian Tio, he's gonna be part of this show. So también nos vamos a reír con un centroamericano ahí, con un montón. So, por favor, vayan a comprar los boletos. We have to show out so we can have more of this.
And also, if you guys want to support us, I don't know, Alejandra, like we add a little like buy us some coffee, please.
Yes. Oh yeah, if y'all want to support us, like, yeah, we are running on cafecito and vibes. So, but if you guys want us to buy us coffee or just support the podcast and anything, I will leave a link in the below. All this is collaboration based and says to the love of this community, but we need some help. So we can continue growing and bring more things to the community at the end of the day. So
yeah, and I think that's it.
That's it. Okay, well, bye.
Bye, guys.
Adios. Okay.
Y nos vamos para Centroamérica.